Okay, here's chapter 14 of Toby's story. That was the last time I saw that particular friend. When I woke up, I was back in my own bed. It was funny. I got up and shook and trotted through the halls, sniffing to see if I could smell him anywhere, but I could not. He was gone. It was confusing, but there were still a lot of people to greet me and pet me and call me a good boy as I wandered around my home. This didn't mean, though, that everything was normal, because I still slept in the yard. And the next day, Tyler came to get me in the morning for another run. Running was the best. Today there was a squirrel to chase up a tree, and 2 trash cans to sniff, and several new friends to meet, or to greet. Cute dog, they'd say. Can I pet him? Can my kids say hi? We'd stop so I could sniff new hands and lick new faces, and then we were off again, moving fast, with the wind in my nose and the freshness of new smells greeting me with every step. That day we did something even more exciting than usual. After jogging along a paved street for a while, Tyler turned a corner and we were on a dirt road. Dirt! I loved running on dirt. It felt softer to my paws, and it smelled so much better than that hard black surface that cars roll on. And then Tyler took off my leash. Fantastic! I could race ahead and come back to him, or dash off to investigate clumps of grass, or chase grasshoppers or grab sticks. This was the best run we had ever been on. Crows flew overhead, and I barked to let them know that we were running, and they could come with us if they liked. But they didn't pay attention. There were giant dogs in the fields next to the road, with black and white splotches all over their bodies. Mostly they ignored us, but I barked at them too, just because. A warm breeze rushed past us, lifting my ears a little, ruffling my fur. My ears perked up. I lifted my nose high and sniffed with all my might. That breeze had brought a familiar scent with it. Tyler was a few feet behind me, and he was starting to breathe in big gasps. Okay, Toby, he wheezed. He stopped running and stood with his hands on his knees. Toby, time to head home. I heard him say my name, but I didn't turn back to him. That scent! It had been a long time since I'd smelled it. It was telling me of something just up ahead. Toby, Tyler called, but he didn't say come, so I knew we weren't doing training. We were just running, and so I ran. Toby, no! Where are you going? Tyler yelled, but I was far ahead of him now. The smell grew stronger with every step. I recognized it. It was chickens and the big dogs who let people ride on their backs. It was dirt and grass and growing things. It was my first home, the ranch. And I was there. Tyler was far enough back on the road that he could not stop me from wiggling under the rail of the fence and running across the lawn. A man was pushing a noisy machine across the grass, but I didn't stop to greet him. The best scent of all in my nose. Sadie, my mother! There she was, lying in the sun beside the house with a braided rope in her mouth. Her head jerked up as I came tearing through the grass, and she jumped to her feet. I tumbled into her, my tail wagging so hard it nearly toppled me over. She sniffed me as eagerly as I sniffed her, and I was so happy I had to do something with my feelings. I leaped on the rope, grabbed it between my teeth, and shook it hard. Sadie was as happy as I was. I could tell because she snatched the rope too, and we had a great game of tug until she pulled too hard and I rolled over and over in the grass. Well, said the man who had pushing the machine, where did you come from, huh? He left the machine and was standing watching us play. Now he held out a hand, and I trotted up to him, still wagging as hard as I could. I knew him. I knew his smell and his hands and the soft shirt he had on with its scent of sweat and dirt and grass. Walt! Wow, I think you're one of mine, Walt said, petting me. Glad to be home, huh? Let me see your collar. He tugged gently at the metal tags that hung from the collar around my neck. Toby? Really? You're Toby? I licked him for saying my name and for being Walt, and for being there while I was so happy to see my mother again. She came and licked him too, and then someone else called my name. Toby! Toby! I'm sorry. He got away from me. Toby! Tyler climbed over the fence that I had crawled under and jogged up to us, breathing hard. Okay, there he is with his mom. There's Walt and Tyler. This your dog? Walt asked him. No, that's Toby, Tyler said, holding out his hand to me. When I trotted over to lick him too, to show that I was happy he had joined the reunion, he snapped my leash onto my collar. That didn't seem quite fair. How was I supposed to play with my mother now? He lives at the assisted living place, Tyler went on, but I take him for a run sometimes. The assisted living place? That's 6 miles down the road, Walt said. You ran all that way with Toby? Tyler nodded. Walt shook his head. I can hardly believe it. Once that little guy wouldn't run to save his life. Tyler looked puzzled and Walt chuckled. Yeah, I guess you don't know it, but he was born here. That's Sadie, his mother. No wonder he came tearing in here like a rocket. No kidding, Tyler grinned and petted my mother, who greeted him happily and then came back to sniff me some more. Toby, that's why you took off like that. I was worried I was going to lose you. Well, he's a fine-looking dog now, Walt said. I never would have thought he'd grow up like that. And he's still at that assisted living place, working there? Tyler nodded. Good, Walt said. He's got a purpose then. All dogs need a purpose. They need a job to do. And he ran 6 miles? He looked impressed. You two want to ride back? I can take you in the truck. Tyler shook his head. No thanks. We'll get back. I have to stick with it or I'm not going to get better, and I have to get better soon. Suddenly he sounded sad. What a strange time to be sad. I licked his knees, which tasted sweaty and delicious. Then I licked my mother's nose and the toe of Walt's shoe. Well, good for you, Walt said, but I'll get you something to drink before you go, and some water for Toby. Walt gave me a delicious bowl of cool water. Fabulous. He handed Tyler something yellow and sweet-smelling in a glass, since people don't like to drink out of bowls. I don't know why. Tyler guzzled down his drink almost as fast as I drank my water. Then he said goodbye to Walt, and I said goodbye to my mother, Sadie, and we started running again, slower than before, but steadily, heading home. I thought about Sadie, my mother, as I trotted by Tyler's side. Sadie belonged to Walt. She had stayed there with him even when my brothers and sisters and I had all left. Now I was leaving again with Tyler. Maybe I belonged to Tyler after all? But I still wasn't sure about that. I hoped one day I would find out. After that, Tyler and I ran together most days. I always got excited to see him in the mornings when he was wearing his white shoes that smelled of rubber and tar and dirt from the street and sweat from his feet. Such a delicious odor. I couldn't understand why he didn't wear those shoes all the time. When I smelled those shoes on his feet, it usually meant that we were going to run to the ranch. Sadie and I would sniff each other and play chase and wrestle and it's my stick and you can't have it. And Tyler and Walt would watch us and laugh. Then Tyler would drink a glass of that sweet yellow stuff and we'd run back. One day, to my surprise, we ran past the ranch. I stopped and whined, reminding Tyler of the way we were supposed to go. That day, Tyler had kept my leash on and he pulled at me, insisting that we go his way. What were we doing? Wait and see, Toby, he told me, and we ran longer on the dirt road than we had ever done. Finally, we turned around, and then we went to the ranch so that my mother and I could play. At last.